Well, everybody, it has in fact not been a week. It has been a week and 1 day because I am late. It's nobody else's fault but mine. I was a sleepy boy and it nearly got today's recording session / stream cancelled. But nonetheless, we may be late, but we're still here to talk about the new Attack on Titan episode. Now, I haven't even double-checked my stream title. It is episode 9, guys, correct? Or is it 8?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
I mean, I've got it as episode 84
Yeah,
because that's just that's how the episodes number themselves.
Yeah, everybody's got a different fucking episode scheme. I say that, but I feel like I'm the only one doing season 4, part 2, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's episode 9, I think. But before we get into it, we got to introduce everybody. Bacon, not here again. Shake my head. Busy or something. So let's start with Mr. R, who is back, as always.
Hello, everyone. I'm Reicha7, or Mr. R, and I like Attack on Titan. I'm a big anime boy. Well, relative, I think, to Kyle. I'm a big anime boy.
Would I say I'm a big anime boy?
Well, no, you're not a big anime boy.
That's relative.
That's
okay. I'm sleepy. All right. Shh. Wake up. And we are also joined by Mr. EliteAri.
Yes, hello, I am EliteAri, and I now have 4 YouTube videos, and I love Attack on Titan.
I still haven't seen the 4th one. Yeah,
it's a minute long.
Big commitment.
Yeah.
Well, let's go around, as we usually do, as our structure has been determined, and do our little intros about our episode thoughts. We'll start with Mr. R again.
So overall, obviously, good episode. It's a chapter I very much liked from the manga. So I was interested to see how they were going to handle it. There was some weird, I guess, editing choices in it, but I'm not too sure how I feel about it. And then there was one. There's a character death confirmed that was never confirmed in the manga. So it'll be interesting to talk about that.
I remember you posting in the Discord about this, but I don't think I saw you clarify who that was, so I'm still unaware.
Oh yeah, I was saving it for this. I was saving it for the stream.
But first, Mr. Ari, you go ahead.
So let me think. So this chapter, I guess, I really like. Like, it's probably in my top 10 of the series. I think the episode did a pretty as good as a job as you could probably do for the content, because it is a lot of just like talking around the campfire, I guess, the whole episode. And they made one small thing that I'm going to talk about later, I guess, that was kind of opened my eyes to something that I never realized in the manga. So I always like that. So yeah.
It's interesting you say open your eyes to something, because Miller mockingly opened my eyes, saying that it was dumb and way too unsubtle to something that I hadn't thought about that's so obvious in retrospect. That made me think about some things relating to subtlety generally, that I would do want to get into later, about a forest. This chapter takes place in a forest. I didn't ever fucking think about that. How fucking stupid am I?
To be fair, I hadn't either. I hadn't either. You're not alone.
Yes, I think that's the point about. I want to talk about subtlety later. But for me, I haven't really thought. I did engage with some discourse. I did, of course, watch my Normie's reaction yesterday. Who knows when yesterday was and today was, but I did at some point watch this video. I think it was today. In fact, I think I'm a liar. But yeah. And they seemed rather positive about the episode. But for me, I am also pretty positive about this episode. Directorially, I think it might be my favorite, or not my favorite, but my favorite since, I think, the one before the Ymir one, right? Because that's the one that, yes, I think, or it might be the one before that. I'm thinking the one where we do the panorama shot where everything sort of freezes in time as Zeke catches
the Two Brothers episode. That's the one. That's two before the Ymir one. Because the one before is just flashbacks.
Yeah. I think directorially it's my favorite since then. Talking about discourse. I'm a liar again, because Minty is doing this thing that he watches the Raws as they air in Japan on this Twitch channel that illegally hosts them. I don't know how we're getting away with that, but he'll always send me 50 messages as he's watching it, mocking the show. He doesn't seem to like it very much at all. But he was talking, because in my upcoming video that I planned on having out today, because this was going to happen yesterday, but now hopefully it'll be tomorrow. But that last part still isn't scripted. Whatever, I'm a mess. I talk about the miscellaneous insert shot in that script, and I've shown him the script, and he was talking about, well, if you like fucking miscellaneous insert shots, it'll be tested in this episode. I don't think that's entirely what happened, but there is a lot of weird shot choices that I like, because I like weird shot choices a lot. But I think that's where the controversiality, what a word, comes from in this episode. But I think I was building up to a point, but I mumbled too much. But yes, go ahead, Mr. R.
I think I agree. I'm not too sure how I feel about it. It was a bit odd, I guess. Yeah. It was the inserts almost every single time. I don't know if it was because they needed to like show some kind of time passing between each of these things that happens, but
we'll get into it. Well, they're not really in the manga, so I'll have to try and use my big brain to remember these things. Oh, another thing, I guess we are going to try, and it's only my responsibility, try and read chat a little bit more. Not yet, but hopefully at some point. I see Nate and Mr. H, because that's what I say when I can't say people's names. They're all in chat. But anyway, do we just dive in chronologically? Or does anybody have anything to say before we do that?
I'm fine with diving in chronologically. You've got, as I said, we've got a bit less time than usual today.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, we get the gene thing. They did it. I remember some speculation, because sometimes they don't do like flashes or stuff. We talk about like the diagonal panels that they cut. A lot of the time, not all the time. I saw some people worried if this. Oh, it's only one page. But if this would be one of those things. But indeed, we did get it. Again, with the insert shots, not exactly miscellaneous insert shots, because it's rather clear what these insert shots refer to as we get the look and stuff. Again,
felt a bit too much to have cut.
Yes. But again, I rather like this. I like the shots of the alcohol. I'm trying to remember what other ones, because there's a bunch of him on the balcony, or things on the balcony rather. But it does sort of set up, because that is sort of how we'd shoot if we were shooting this with a camera IRL the rest of the episode. But I think this was generally done well. Anybody anything got any cutting to say about this?
Yeah, no, it was good. Further grown up Jean is a handsome man. Mikasa with the long hair again.
Mr. R thinks fascist John is handsome. Yikers. But
listen. No.
I mean, on the Mikasa point, I was surprised that they it looks like they clarified that it's certainly Mikasa. Like, she's got the scar and everything, and I never realized when I was reading it initially. That
I didn't spot the scar actually.
Neither.
Yeah, there's like one small shot where you see her from behind, and like on her eye, there's like that little, or under the eye, I guess, little scar. Yeah.
Now this is
another
baseless speculation. Do you think this is completely baseless, and I'm making this up, and it might sound cool when I say it? Do you think John was supposed to die originally? Because I when I was watching this, I was thinking, oh, clearly John is like choosing the sacrifice, and then he's gonna die in the end. Because it seems like this is something you do if he dies, and if he doesn't end up with Mikasa, like because it depends if you think he ends up with Mikasa, right? I think it's pretty obvious that it's John from behind in one of those.
Yeah.
In the bonus pages. But I
think he was meant to die.
So, do you think so?
I think there was meant to be a lot more death in general, but I know that Isayama did change. I don't know how often he changed things and how late into the series he changed things. Maybe at this point it would have been too late, but I know that originally he wanted a much more grim ending, where presumably Eren would have just destroyed the whole world. I don't know exactly what. We never found out exactly what the details were, and that's probably a good thing, because then the fan base will start saying that's the better ending. Do that.
Because that I don't know. I don't want to call it talking point. That sounds so negative seeming. But that factoid about the more grim ending has been around since like 2014. I feel like when I first got into it. So obviously
I
endings
think it was
changed.
around Clash of the Titans he changed it. He said he was changing
Yeah.
how it was ending, and that's a long way to change stuff.
I always remember, and again, this is completely baseless because you shouldn't trust what people say on the internet, but including us. I remember people saying that it was because the anime got so popular and he felt like a responsibility or something. In Clash of the Titans, I think the end of the Clash of the Titans is when the anime ended. Though it would have been like I was going to say 25 chapter span because it came out over 25 weeks, but Attack on Titan comes out monthly. But I don't know anything. I think it's kind of silly to go down these thought patterns of like until Isayama like says, yeah, maybe. Because again, just as somebody who I guess does creative work on the internet, and as my audience, you probably talking more to chat would probably know I change my mind about everything constantly. So to think about that on a larger scale, in sort of like the creative mind of Attack on Titan, like things have to change constantly. I don't know if we can point to a single example of like somebody who seems steadfast in their vision since like chapter 1. Unless it's like a shorter series, then obviously you could do that. But over like how long was Attack on Titan going? Like 2009 to
11
20
years.
Yeah, 11 years or so. It's your mind has to change at some points.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even then, the details of how you get there will change as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like both Jean and Connie were meant to die in the end, and that would have been like the completion. Connie would die, and his mum would get to live.
Yeah, because they have that moment in like the second last chapter, right, when they're transformed into Titans, and it's sort of like maybe if Isayama had this idea of their death in his head, like he still included that end moment, and then ended up having them come back anyway. Yeah, that moment.
It's possible, but it's also possible that it was just that's how he intended to do it from the start.
It could literally be a subversion of this, right? These are like the trappings or tropey ways where you're like, he's imagining his future and then cut to him dying and not having any regrets because he's forever a scout. I have seen Mr. R's mock-up thumbnail. I'd completely forgot this forever a scout line. I don't know if it's in the manga. I assume it is because
it's a bit different in the manga.
Okay, so we'll get to it then. But we have spent a lot of time on this, so I guess we should. Oh, it's interesting. I because we moved directly into the Jean ear covering head down shot. I remember Hanji coming off much more creepy here. And looking at it now, I can see how I got that. In the anime, it's definitely not. It's just like her lightly tapping. I don't know. It's kind of like crazy Hanji here to me. I always interpreted this as like
she's like a Titan.
Yeah, in the anime, it's very much just her knocking and quietly saying, "Hey, Jean." It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just again another like tropey thing of like the crazy person banging on the window. But I don't know. That felt like a change. There are some things that feel like changes, even though I haven't gone through the chapter yet. Did anybody else think Hanji was crazy in this moment or anything like that?
I think there's maybe definitely an element to it, but I don't remember. I don't think I lingered that much on this panel because, I mean, when I was reading this, I was still. Actually, was I still firing through chapters? I'm trying to remember when I started reading month for month again and what chapter it was on when I started reading month for month. Maybe it was around this sort of point. Yeah,
because I've been month to month since chapter 50 something. So I think this might have been because usually when the leaks came out, it was of like the first few pages. So maybe I saw this in the leaks like a few days before the actual chapter came out, so it was all I had to think about. I definitely remember leaks for this because I remember hearing the Mikasa thing, because obviously when you can't tell what the text is and you see the girl on page 1 with John, people would have like headlines, John Mikasa what? We skipped forward in time, because they wouldn't have had context. But I remember hearing about that. We would have been doing last minute predictions at this point, but maybe that's why this stuck with me. This is obviously a big Jean chapter. I remember while we were doing the month-to-month reviews, we went through a bunch of these 120 chapters. Gross, I'm burping everywhere. And we went through and we basically singled out how certain, like 123 was a Mikasa chapter, and then 126 was actually kind of a Connie chapter, and then 127 was a Jean chapter, and it sort of ended up being like, oh, it's sort of we're sort of doing character chapters while plot progressing, but focusing on one individually, which is neat.
I feel like that started back in the episode with Annie and Hitch, because a lot of the what was going on in that episode, there was so many, just a bunch of characters all talking about like where they started and where they are now, and since then it's been an episode for each character. It's really interesting.
It's kind of what you do when you get to the end, sort of reflecting on the entire character journey, because this is kind of just a higher stakes version of Jean's conflict throughout the entire thing, especially in the chapter. And this is one of the ones I have just incidentally reread making videos, because I think I talk about it in the most recent Attack on Titan video I did, the one that was supposed to be part of an ending trilogy, but we won't talk about that. Where Jean, the chapter where Jean makes the decision basically to join the Scouts with the burning bodies and everything, which is a very good chapter, and this is just sort of that conflict on a larger scale, I guess, with more consequences to his actions. Him sort of, because I feel like when I was watching the normies' reaction, they were sort of like, oh, we've already done this conflict with Jean, like, what are we doing here? But I feel like it works to go back to be like the ultimate test of it's actually real, like not coddling in hoping the Titans will never break in, but sort of like ultimate comfortability if he just stays behind, versus great danger for little, for a heroic, unselfish reason. But yeah. Anything to say about any of that?
No, yeah, I mean, you're right. That's always been Jean's thing. Jean wants to be the selfish guy, but he can't.
Yes, forever Scout, perhaps. What a cute line. But we get the genocide is wrong panel here. This obviously was a big meme at the time, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's two genocide is wrong. So this is the thing that this is one of the things that I remember. So in this panel, it says this is to stop Eren. We shouldn't be slaughtering one another. That line reads better. In the anime, the first time they say it, Hanji kind of goes, "This is to stop Eren. Genocide is wrong," and it's just they say it properly later. You know, when they slam their fist down and sort of shout it, and that's good. But the first time it's said, it's just a really weird connection of lines. It was just a really weird connection of lines. But
is the version that I've got on screen how your version reads? Because you have the official.
That is a fair point. I should probably be getting the physical copies out for this. 2 seconds, talk amongst yourself.
Maybe if we were more coordinated, and by we I mean me, we'd have this all figured out. But I remember when the leaks came out, because obviously everybody at this point, when this was still very controversial, I guess it still is kind of controversial, the genocide is wrong panel was mocked a lot.
Oh wow, the physical copy, it's even weirder.
Okay, read it out.
We're here to stop everyone. We are here to stop everyone. Killing everyone in bold, would be a mistake. And then Hanji just shouts, "We're here to stop Eren."
Oh, okay.
Killing everyone would be a mistake. And then when Hanji slams their fist down on the table, they shout, "Genocide is wrong." There's nothing anyone could say to change my mind about that.
Okay, so this one is really different because it says, "I'm not accepting genocide. You're not getting me to agree with any reason to support this."
Yeah, I actually kind of like the fan translation more, if I'm being honest.
I think this is the Crunchyroll. Maybe I have too much faith.
No, it'll be the. I mean, I feel like the Crunchyroll translation is the one that ends up in the books, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, with the exception sometimes when they change things after the fact, right? Like the almond line at the end.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's very different, so it must be a fan translation or something. I don't know, I thought it was fine. I guess I forgot all of this and just remembered it being genocide is wrong both times. So I really didn't think about it until this moment too much. I kind of like the frankness of like Hanji just saying genocide is wrong, because I feel like for the average viewer, if I project the normies to be the average viewer, I feel like if you're not arguing about it on the internet and you're not thinking about it too much, constantly like I was at the time, or as people listening to this might do, Obviously, you'll have
You know what,
sensibilities with
actually?
Eren. Just I'll finish really quick. And like Hanji's frankness, sort of like, I don't know, I'm going to use the Overton window term. How gross. But it sort of pulls it back in the other direction of like basing a character in, no, this is absolutely quintessentially wrong. So it like, Overton window is kind of the best term to describe it, but it yanks it back the other way. Mr. Art, go ahead.
Maybe it would make more sense. Yeah, as I said, we shouldn't be slaughtering one another kind of doesn't really do justice to what's
Yeah.
actually taking place, and the manga line is just weird. So maybe saying genocide is wrong in both instances is the best way to do it. But at the same time, almost like maybe like saying genocide is wrong and then shouting "I'm not accepting genocide" would have been the best combination, because that way you're just not repeating the same line twice. But I guess perhaps Hanji emphasizing it is
Yeah.
perhaps the best way to go about it. Like it's like that. It's that re-emphasizing the original point without having to change things again. So actually, maybe I'm coming around to it already in the anime.
I don't know. I don't
It's
mind.
such a. It's just such a specifics thing about how it's framed, and I guess like considering that there is a lot of what's the right word for it?
Controversy.
Controversy surrounding how much the manga condemns or doesn't condemn certain actions. Maybe the anime just rightfully so needs to put a bit more effort into outright condemning.
You say that, but I don't think Hanji is supposed to be taken as like the person who understands everything the most here. Like, I don't know. I feel like she's clearly very flustered about these sort of things, about this thing particularly. So I don't know if this
do
is the
feel
best.
like-
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I feel like in the Campfire thing, like she's framed in the middle of the two groups, so she is kind of like portrayed as a voice of reason in a way.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that is sort of Hanji's characterization and the characterization of sort of this voice of reason in Attack on Titan, because she is wacky. I feel like this is also a tropey thing. Like the wacky person at the end of the day, the person who doesn't really understand the things actually kind of sees through the bullshit and understands it the most. Like you kind of do that with Marco, right? Because Marco really doesn't know shit and about anything, but sort of him being Marco and I guess what makes Marco special and him wanting to talk even back then. Sort of despite all the sometimes like maybe extra context or all the context sort of clouds judgment, I guess, or something like that. But I'm not really against the repeating the line thing. I think that's fine. But yeah.
I'm not really against it. I think I've talked myself into thinking it's probably actually one of the better ways to go about it, having looked at the manga translation.
Yeah. What else about this scene? Oh, I saw again some conversation in our Discord about if we skip ahead, if I skip over anything you guys want to talk about, obviously.
Oh
stop
yes,
me.
I have something a bit before, which
Okay,
is
go.
yeah,
You know
about
where I'm
the
going, obviously.
because yeah, but not unrelated to that. So this is, I guess for me, it stood out that in this scene, we kind of see Mikasa agree that she's willing to take down Eren.
Oh
in a
yes,
way.
it's very quick.
And yeah, so for me, I was trying to think why it feels so quick, and I think it's because of the absence of chapter 123, like with their outing. Because you get like in that, I went back and read it, and you get a narration like from Mikasa,
Yes, you do.
where she's like starting to realize that maybe Eren's always been this way, and she's starting to feel bad about maybe being the cause for what's really happening
Yes.
now.
It's
So I feel
not-
like if without that chapter there, it kind of it feels a bit sudden. Is the thing.
I've actually been thinking about this Mikasa stuff quite a bit, not about like structurally it getting cut out. It's not survivor's guilt on Mikasa's behalf, but it's something adjacent to that. Of like, she definitely feels responsibility in some sort of way. It's interesting. It's I think about Mikasa's character a lot because I used to be a very negative Mikasa person. Still a video on the channel shitting on Mikasa. And how I don't like those type of people. I know Miller. He's listening right now at some point. He doesn't like Mikasa at all. But that sort of mindset of like the only thing Mikasa cares about is Eren, and sort of how that's just not true in any sense of the word ever, and sort of like her guilt over the rumbling here. I feel like the immediacy of this sort of feeds into that, and so does chapter 123 with her sort of like, if I had said something different, would all of this be different? I really do like that flashback and it being framed from Mikasa's perspective and all that stuff. But in terms here, I actually did like it in the anime. I don't know. I'm trying to get to the point where Mikasa says she'll do it. I think it must be. It might actually be after the no. Where is
it's a bit higher up.
I guess she
like
does say it.
maybe?
There's no like
Well, she
clear.
says it
Yeah,
Sense.
right there.
Yeah, she has no clear sense of like urgency here. I guess in the manga, it is on the beginning of the next page. But I don't know. In the manga, her immediacy and like I'll do it is I don't know. I kind of like that. It kind of also puts more pressure on Jean to. Jean is not just going to do anything Mikasa says. He likes Mikasa. He's not a. I guess I have to use the simp word. He's not that much of a simp where Mikasa says something, then he'll do it. And clearly he has like his monologue after this. I know. I feel like I like it in this scene. I like it as sort of like it's one of those interesting pieces of characterization where you don't really see it coming and you have to think for a few seconds. Like, would Mikasa do this? But ultimately, I like sort of the implication. I haven't thought about the cutting of 123 in terms of this moment. So, do you Ari not like the moment then, or because of the 123?
I mean, I
cut?
think it still works because obviously there's two levels it still works. One is that it obviously what Eren's doing is wrong. So Mikasa's like, okay, we got to stop him. Like, it's an obvious thing. But on the second hand, like when we will eventually see that scene, so on retrospect, we'll kind
Hopefully.
of see, like, yeah, hopefully I'm pretty sure we'll see the scene. It's pretty important. And on retrospect, looking back here, we'll be like, okay, so maybe that's what was going on in her head. So it still works to me. It's just less impactful,
Yeah.
I think.
I don't really remember this moment too much, so I don't know if I can assess whether or not it's more or less impactful. It did stick out to me in the episode though. I just thought about how they're going to do 123. Do you think I feel like this would be a fuck up, but do you think? Because it seems to be the case that I don't remember if Mr. R said 130 or 131. He's been going on about this every time, but I think he might be correct. I think if the last episode is sort of framed as a Ramsey and I forget their fucking names every time.
I don't think it's Ramsey and Hilliel. I think it's just before that. I think they'll be
they'll
be introduced in the movie.
Oh yeah, so you think the port, right? It all comes back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good introduction.
I'm thinking.
I think it'll open with the 123 flashback.
Yeah, I think I might be differing in this what do I call it, warning here about how I don't want this to be done. I guess maybe I shouldn't say I don't want it to be done until I see it. But what could happen is we could be ending on Ramsey getting squished and like we see the flashback from his perspective and sort of we have like this whole episode about him before he gets stepped on. And that's how we see all that stuff. But then it wouldn't be framed through Mikasa's like character, and it would sort of cut all the Mikasa stuff out of there. So that was sort of.
But I mean, there is also a flashback already when Ramsey's getting squished, isn't there? When there's Eren apologizing to him, because that doesn't happen in 123. That happens later. That happens like during the freedom scene.
Yeah, isn't that in 130 though? Because isn't that framed from more Eren's perspective? We could do it then.
131.
Too. Is
131.
I forget.
It's part of the rumbling chapter.
Yeah, I can't differentiate.
I wonder.
131 in my brain, but.
Could
Nick's
they?
saying we've got a confirmation that it ends on 130. I thought that was just assumed based on the rate that it was going at, rather than a confirmation.
It'll be interesting how they try to fucking include this goddamn flashback.
Are we convinced it's a movie?
I feel like unless we're getting final.
Unless they're going to create the final season part 3, then it's going to be, which will be really weird.
Advertising the final season for 5 years, boys. Let's go.
I just don't think that there's stuff that's going to be in. Then again, I said that about some of this chapter, but I just don't think that some of the Ramsey and Halil stuff, the rumbling chapter, they'll be able to show on Japanese television.
Well, then put it in a movie. Let's go.
I don't think you can show like a 12-year-old getting their brain caved in in any context.
Yeah. Well, sounds like somebody else's headache, boys. I don't think we gotta fucking worry about this. We will be worrying about it though. We'll talk about it constantly. We'll talk about it next week, I guarantee. But
we'll need it if there's a film. We'll need like a feature-length post-film discussion.
Yes.
Kyle will need to like buy.
Kyle will need
either 2 laptops or a battery pack.
By then I'll be rich. I'll have the battery pack.
Patreon will be booming.
Yeah. You can join the Discord, fellas. $1 a month. Head over there.
We're gonna run out of time at this rate.
Yeah,
so
Yeah, we gotta hurry up.
All right, quickly,
Some
we got to
important
talk
things
about the scene. There was some discourse in the Discord, Lamau, about seeing how maybe we see the scout bodies too much. I thought you were all being silly boys, frankly. I think every time the bodies are shown, first with Erwin when he's doing the Griffith shot, excuse me for spoiling, because Mr. R has just started Berserk, but Ari knows what I'm talking about. It's also in Vinland Saga. It's probably all from something before that. Macbeth probably has it in a movie or something, because Macbeth is basically Griffith. I know fucking Shakespeare. Don't fuck with me. Actually, I know like 2 Shakespeare things, right? Those are the things we had to do in school. Moving on, I'm wasting time. We got the body shot with Erwin, and then I think it's here, and then obviously it's in the last chapter. I think there might be one other version. I like it every time. I like sort of the sunken cost fallacy we've got going on here about how these fellas in the background. I remember this being... Everything about this fucking chapter is controversial, I'm remembering now. I'm remembering the wars of... I don't know, early 2020 or late 2019, whenever the fuck this chapter came out. Man, people were so, like, on the Erwin would agree with Eren bandwagon. I saw that constantly. And then when Hanji's just projecting here. Erwin wouldn't like it, but it seems every time. We also see it when Hanji dies. I sort of like the weight of, like, I guess it always is a precursor for a scout leader dying as they think back to all the bodies before them, because Erwin gets it before he dies. Obviously, Hanji is dying probably at the beginning of this movie. Or is that in 129?
Yeah, right at the beginning.
No, yeah, that's...
No, Hanji dies in 132, I think, or 133.
Forget my
so probably
ignorance.
about 20 to 30 minutes into the movie.
Yes. But it seems to be sort of a death flag here. And then Levi sees it at the end because there's no more time for him to die because we're ending this manga. I don't know. I like it every time. I can't remember. I feel like Miller was mad about it. He's mad about everything.
I feel like the argument being presented was interesting. That, like, you know, it seemed very personal to Erwin originally, and now it's become more of a general thing. And I feel like the stages I said is Erwin's stuff was great, as you said, the pile of bodies and so on. If Hanji hadn't seen it there, then then had maybe only seen very briefly, like when in Hanji's final moments, they then saw like Erwin and Moblit, for example. That could have rounded things off. I don't know. It was just a thought.
I don't know.
It can still work.
Yeah, I feel like it's colored way differently than the Erwin one, right? Erwin is thinking of like the bodies beneath him and his selfishness that has driven him to this point because he wants to see the basement more than anything and prove his father correct or whatever. Also, I don't like Erwin that much, and I do like Hanji and I do like Levi, obviously. So I know. Yeah, you're a bit. You're not. Erwin is not an S tier for you. Did I put him in A tier? I probably did, huh? I wasn't being edgy.
Put him in A tier.
Did I put him in B tier or no? Fuck. What was I going to say?
So something else about these scout flashbacks before we move on. So this is where we get confirmation of another character death in the anime.
Okay. Who was it?
Anka, Pixis's assistant.
Oh, the girl.
She didn't.
Yes, we did. She didn't drink. We did see. I noticed this. Hold on. I noticed there was a roses. What are they fucking called? The garrison. I noticed there was one of them in this shot. Yeah. And I was like, why is there a garrison girl? Oh. It is that girl.
Yep.
Okay.
I will post in Discord for you to.
Okay.
If you so wish to share. There. It stands out because there is Petra there. In the manga, we only see Petra.
There she is. I did notice. Cute girl standing next to Petra. I do remember her slapping Erwin on Pixis on the head. But yeah, go ahead.
Because Anka didn't drink the wine. We had that confirmed because she didn't feel anything when Zeke screamed. Huh. But I guess where she was in proximity to everyone.
Yes, or she got eaten by one of these titans.
It could have been overlooked. Like the manga, as far as like going off the Attack on Titan wiki, the manga only considers someone dead if we see them die or get some kind of confirmation. So she's considered alive in the manga.
Okay.
Nate's saying she drank the wine. Well, she didn't drink the wine because she explicitly said she didn't feel anything when Zeke screamed. Well, I mean, in the anime, she said she didn't feel anything.
Yeah, she could
The
have died
manga,
in a million other ways because there's like a whole fucking war going on. The Mali people are shooting people. She could have been near Pixis when he transformed and got big exploded like Colt.
could have
You
just been
sure
eaten
this
after
isn't
the
her
fact.
here? I don't know. It's just a random cute girl that kind of looks like her, but maybe not.
Well, no, because the random guy, I think that's meant to be Petra because she's got the scout
Do I just
cloak.
not remember what
The
Petra
cloaks
looks
are
like?
things
That
only
might
the
be
scouts
true.
wear.
Hey, get down, Discord. Yeah.
Justice for Anka.
I don't know. She doesn't really. She's not in like.
It was just an.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, she doesn't appear at all again. Like we don't see her since we don't in the manga. Her final appearance is is when everyone's feeling Zeke scream from far away.
I was gonna say she's not in the final shot with Glasses Boy, so
No.
she either dies or lives long enough to become a Jaegerist. So good for her. She's dead.
Yeah, I think it's a cool addition to the anime.
Yeah.
The other, actually, just a small point, I guess. The interview that came out like 2 weeks ago or whatever from the director, they said that
I never watched, but you
Isayama's
told me.
he's putting a lot of notes in this season. Like last season, they said he was putting like one A4 page of notes for each episode.
So that's why it's so good.
Based on the storyboard. Yeah, and this one is putting 2 full like A4 pages of notes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really interesting things in that interview. Like he's really being intentional in the things he like adds and stuff to the anime. That's what it seems like.
I mean, he has I think gone on record saying that he thinks the anime is the definitive version of the story. I
He's trying to get
disagree.
you money. He's trying to make you buy the anime. Don't listen to him. But yes,
Anyway.
yes. I'm sure he. I don't know. I don't think
think
he's
it's a bit of
actually
both.
lying. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. In every interview I've read of him, he seems like a very nice gentleman. I feel like. I feel like he would often say like somebody is better than him or something like that. So I feel like he.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He has. I think he's definitely got some self-confidence issues when it comes to his own writing ability.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was still gonna go on about the bodies thing, but I can't remember. I was gonna say that Erwin's one is obviously him stepping on the bodies because he feels selfish or whatever, and Hanji's is more their like the weight of the responsibility, which I think reflects their characters much better. And then obviously Levi's is sort of in another responsibility way, but it's the salute and everything of like the sort of achievement or it all being worth it in the end. So I feel like it's implemented in different ways every time, specific to the characters every time. And I like it every time. That was my point. But anyway, Marco is also in the shot.
We've got
A scout in principle.
We've got the line.
Oh, what line?
Well, it says I'm still a member of the Survey Corps rather than I'm always a scout.
Oh, okay.
Or
Oh, yes. Why do I think he said it at the campfire scene in the anime? Am I just wrong? I think I might be.
No, in the anime he said it there as well. But the thing is, we also got a full. We got like a full shot of Marco.
Yeah.
It was just Marco that Jean saw. He didn't see
yes.
everyone else.
But yeah, okay. They did do this shot. This is a rather famous shot of everybody, the 2-page spread, everybody around the campfire. Again, Hanji is framed in the middle. They can obviously put this in the fucking moving music video that we made, and I can just think of that right now. We can go through the contents here, or we can talk about the directing, which I think is the more interesting discussion. I feel like everybody here likes
I mean, the contents...
Yeah.
I feel like just a general coverage of the contents is fine, just like how it's...
Maybe we should do that.
It's definitely a lot of
first.
pent-up... Yeah, like there's just a lot of pent-up feelings and everything, and it kind of does show that both sides have very much been in the wrong throughout a lot of this. And I'm sure, I think in the Discord there was chat that it just felt like it was being too dramatic
That
and
was
there were too many
Miller being a
conflicts
bitch.
at hand, which I disagree with, because it's like these people have been literally trying to murder each other for the past 9 years at this point, back and forth. The Marlians massacred everyone when they destroyed the wall, and then the Paradisians massacred the people of Liberia when they attacked after Eren disrupted Willie's speech. So and Magath does have some point about like the 2,000 years of oppression via the Eldian Empire. Like it only came to a halt 100 years ago.
Yeah. The on all of this, I think Miller just doesn't know what the wars were like back in what were we saying, late 2019, early 2020. After all of this, now I think I talked about this in that scout video I made about how it's slowly form into the alliance. Like we have the initial like urge, oh, we got to team up. Then we have the campfire scene where they talk about it a lot, getting each other's faces. They're not entirely on the same side. Then we get the battle where sort of intrinsically in the heat of battle, they come to each other's defense, but they're still not all on each other's side because Annie still wants to leave because she only wants to save her father. And then on the plane, there's more talk. And even during the final battle, it's not until then that Jean and Ryan are actually save each other and all that stuff. It's very much a slow drip, like continuous growth between the alliance the entire time, starting from last chapter until the very end. And I feel like this is like a crucial part of it. And obviously a lot of people still don't buy that the Alliance would ever team up. So Miller's saying that like, oh, this wasn't necessary. We already buy that they're going to team up. I don't think that boy knows what he's talking about. But
well, I think
it's just a different
like,
perspective,
well, I guess
of reading through it versus monthly and things like that. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, what I noticed this chapter was, it's episode, I guess. That it felt like they were bringing the kind of ideological like battles that they're having down to the personal level, where you're like it concludes with the whole Marco thing, and then the two like the relationship between Reiner and Jean in a way, where I feel like this is the first step where they're trying to kind of bring it down to that level, which is something that gets emphasized gets emphasized a lot in 137 with Zeke and Armin a bit. So,
I think this is generally like a big point, I guess, of Attack on Titan is generally that like, yeah, you can have like ideological disputes and talk about like principle or whatever, but at the end of the day, that's really not how people make decisions. It's usually more personable, I guess, and like relationship related. Are you gonna do what's right, or are you gonna help your fucking kid bury the body or whatever? I was gonna build to something there, but I think I forgot completely. Fuck. Ari, tell me what I was gonna say.
You were gonna talk about Zeke.
I was going to do that Zeke somehow, and how much 137 is the best chapter.
Yes.
And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Oh, I was also gonna say before that I haven't been reading chat, but fuck it, we gotta fly through this thing because I was late and Mr. R has real life adult things to do, like go to work. So we gotta speed through some of this shit. Fuck. Oh, Magath generally seems kind of prickish here, I think, more. I feel like it's even worse in the anime, though it was pretty bad in the manga. The normies definitely.
I think the anime, I was saying in Discord, I feel like in the anime you notice his turning point more in this chapter. Like after Gabby gets kicked and starts apologizing, Magath, like he gets that expression. It's very clear that this is that's a change for him.
Yeah, I have before I was mentioning I had something that changed my perspective in this episode.
Okay.
That was with the whole Gabby thing apologizing, and then them playing and framing the scene to mirror the one from Declaration of War, where you've got Reiner like apologizing to Eren, and at the same time you've got Willy Tybur giving his speech asking for help from the world. So in two ways, like it's a really effective like change or thing they've added to the scene, which is that like first it works for Reiner and the scouts because it's like kind of reflecting what Reiner was doing in a way, like apologizing before, but it also works really well for bringing Magath around, and I think that's why it works so well, because it is a reflection of what Willy Tybur was trying to do, which he was working alongside. Okay. It's kind of it's an interesting direction choice there.
It also works on the Tybur level of like Willy was doing a prickish thing and doing it all wrong, whereas Gabby is doing it all right here because she is always.
And I think that's why it works so well with Magath like changing and like seeing at this point,
Because as much as Magath like goes on and on about Eldians, he does very much care about his warrior unit and about Gabby and Falco.
That's a personal thing again, right? Of like, in principle, he might think he's like a racist and he might take pride in that, but in reality, he likes Gabby. If we go over the content thing really quickly, because we don't want to go line by line, because again, we don't have time and stuff like that. I guess this is kind of a directorial thing that I do want to talk about after this, but Ryan sure to get the shit beaten out of him, and they did that very well. Fuck, there was another thing. I was scrolling through The Marco line I really, really like. I made at the end of the Core Themes video. The fact that his last line somehow comes back into play. Very clever. I was scrolling through it and I saw it. And, oh, the Yelena thing. I still don't know if I get the Yelena thing. Yelena is still kind of a mysterious character to me. I don't think I ever entirely figured it out. Her fake backstory and sort of like, she's a phony. I don't know how this relates to her character. I don't think it's like a bad thing. I just don't think I get it yet. And I think our eventual reread should help with this.
I'm in a similar camp, I think. I just don't quite... Yeah, it's not quite clear to me why...
I feel like I sort of was going down a thing when I was watching the episode about how she just sort of I think the normies use the word narcissist when talking about this scene. I don't think that's entirely the thing. I think again it's supposed to be a more personal thing of like she just wanted, I think, a prince or something, and maybe because she's so big she doesn't get princes because she's a girl, so she wants somebody taller than her, and when Zeke's in Titan form he's taller than her. I don't know, I went down this weird fucking road of like sort of like feeling it too boring and faking reality. I feel like that's definitely, I call everything a trope now, but I guess everything is a trope. But there is sort of this I guess psychological idea that's sometimes molded into a character of like sort of wanting to live a more interesting life and faking it until you do or something. But yes, the Yelena thing is interesting. They do a directorial thing where they sort of frame it post mid-episode card thing, where it's sort of like, let me remind you, and then Yelena starts talking about all these things. Should we talk about the directing now? Because I guess Mr. Ari's point wasn't the same as mine about the forest. It was about Magath instead.
Yep.
The directing, I think it might have been... Oh, hold on, go ahead, Mr. R.
I was saying, I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to say about like the actual content of it.
If you can think about it,
now I'm... Yeah, I'll see.
I'm not the only one that forgets.
I can't. Where was it?
Do you want me to...
Oh, yeah, it was...
Oh, no, go ahead. We found it.
I mean, I guess maybe it is fits more into direction, but it's not the direction stuff we're going to talk about. It's the way they framed Jean going from casual to really pissed off when Yelena's talking to him. So if you go, thanks, Yelena, like, he was a lot more sort of almost like smirking at her.
John's mood swings are a real character trait, and I do like them.
Yeah. Yeah, the anime, he mood swings a lot harder than he does in the manga, I think, when Marco gets brought up.
Maybe.
But I think that makes sense, because like Marco is a very, very key part of Jean's personality.
Yes. Foundational, perhaps. Hold on, I'm trying to get to this. I do like, because he's like very casually, he clearly understands that he's getting goaded into things. And then even when Reiner starts like confessing to like the terrible things he did to Marco, John doesn't get mad. It's when Reiner like starts asking, like, he doesn't sort
begging
of...
for forgiveness.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's like, I guess it is that. It's like the patheticness of begging for forgiveness and stuff. I don't know, it's hard to describe, also, but it like works perfectly. You like understand completely as it's happening of like, yeah, like this, shut up, Reiner, shut up. And then it ends up. Yeah.
Also, though, with the Reiner thing, I'm just looking as well. I think in the anime, when he does the first half of his discussion, it's a lot more matter of fact, whilst he definitely looks like he's still conflicted whilst talking about it here. Like his expression is still one where he's kind of almost battling with what he's saying, but the anime, it's almost like a complete straight-faced matter-of-factness before he switches to the apologetic sort of side. But in the manga, he's sort of remorseful from the beginning.
Yeah, as he starts apologizing in the anime, obviously it starts sort of becoming like this insane ramble. I'm looking at this page here. It doesn't seem like necessarily that's entirely what happens here. It seems like he's kind of not just the words aren't just flowing out. It's sort of like he is saying things.
Anyway, sorry, I sidetracked us.
Yes.
Directing.
All right, so this is a sort of the biggest talking point coming out of this episode, I assume. They were doing this thing, and of course, everything is Evangelion, but actually, my conclusion here is that it's really not an Evangelion technique. I feel like they do this in the Ava intro, but outside of that, because it's not. I don't know why I'm bringing up Ava. My point was going to be that it's not Ava. They do this thing where they would cut. I don't know. Fucking describing visual things like this is the bane of my existence. They would, first of all, there were lots of slow shots of just like trees. There's the one shot that goes down the trees and then up the trees. I really like shots like that. I don't really need to see reverse shot of them talking constantly. So I prefer that to everything. I know Bacon was saying that it might have been a cost-cutting measure. Just because of all the Evangelion discourse I've always been in, I feel like if you ever say that, you should be decapitated in my favorite Fortnite game, Public Square. Sorry, Bacon. We're going to turn him into actual Bacon. Never mind. So the framing thing they would do, besides that, we got like shots of the stew a lot. We got shots of like the horses a lot. So a lot of cutaway shots. I always like those things. They're not to everybody's taste. You shouldn't be decapitated if you don't like them. I was just joking. But the other thing they would do is they would cut to characters constantly where like they would be on one side of the screen and half their face wouldn't be showing, and then you'd cut to another character reacting and their face would be on the other side. It does a lot of things with eye movement. I like it sort of, not intrinsically, but like my initial emotional reaction is like, oh, I like the visual things they're doing here. I don't know if I can explain it because I've only seen the episode in full once and I haven't looked at it too hard. Generally, I liked all this stuff. I understand a lot of people didn't. But before, there's one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, with the Elena mid-card thing, I'm throwing a lot out here. They almost did an Ava thing. My God, will this man shut the fuck up about Evangelion? Where after the mid-card thing, it almost transitioned into like the same vibe as like, I think it is actually the last episode of Evangelion where it's famously not really an episode, it's just sort of a video essay. Where it would start the same song over and over again. It would fade out and then start it over, but it would be a different character. I can hear the song in my head. I don't remember what it's called on the soundtrack. And it would be like a monologue. But it sort of started and then it was like, I think post mid-credit scene, it had like a shot of Elena. She was sitting in the middle. They did do a shot, a sequence. This is completely sidetracking. They did do a shot of match cutting everybody sitting in the middle of the frame looking at the camera as they were talking, which is interesting, and I kind of like that too. But and then Elena started monologuing about everything everybody had done. It was sort of like a reset, cool directorial thing. I think that's the first shot we get of somebody looking directly in the camera, and I sort of like it. Again, it's sort of like this weird fourth wall break, slight thing, where it's like, let's remember what all these characters did. And sort of from that, like how I'm describing it, it sounds like dumb and bad, but I don't know. I really like how it works in practice. Did I make any sense?
Cool.
Do we have anything to say about the monstrosity of a monologue I just went on?
I don't have anything. I don't know if I have much specific about the monologue thing. It's definitely. I haven't seen Ava, so I can't really comment on that part.
I'm sure everything else does it too, and it's just because the only thing I've ever seen is Attack on Titan, Ava, and Berserk that I reference it constantly. But yeah.
Thing is that having read some of Berserk now, I now realize that basically everything's a fucking Berserk reference.
But everything in Berserk is a Devilman reference, so everything is a Devilman reference. It all
They did this, Nate's just saying they did this cool boiling thing,
the Mikasa Annie confrontation.
During the Mikasa and Annie confrontation was escalating, the stew started boiling up, and then when Annie puts her hand out and the stew dies down. Just a cool little, that's like, kind of, I guess.
Oh, my subtlety
basic
point.
directing
kind of,
stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say, fuck, do you want me to go on another monologue? Hold on, I should let everybody else talk. Remind me about the subtlety thing. Or unless you guys don't have anything.
I don't really have a huge amount to say about the direction. I thought it was a little odd, the sheer number of cuts, but I think that's just because, again, that's just like a consequence, I guess, of the medium. If they hadn't done those cuts, it would have probably felt really weird.
It does give off a very different vibe to the manga. I guess the manga is, again, when put into anime, in like this sequence, would be kind of a boring thing to visually look at. Just sort of a shot, reverse shot kind of thing, group shot, somebody speaking, shot of somebody's mouth. But yeah, again, I know it's odd. That's kind of why I like it. But odd is not for everybody to like. It just generally, before I get into my fucking subtlety point, it generally just goes into like the trend of this season of them actually doing interesting visual things, where I feel like they have never really done that in the past. Now, I'm only confident in saying that about season 4 part 1 because the other stuff I haven't rewatched in forever, and it's possible they did and I'm just being an idiot and have a short-term memory like I always do about everything. But yeah, it's sort of like the trend since the season began, and I was like, holy shit, I kind of like this, and I really haven't liked much of the Attack on Titan anime, so this was part of that of like, oh, more weird directorial stuff to make it different from the manga in this sense, which is something I appreciate. Ari, do you have anything to say about the directing, or should I do my dumb subtlety point? Or Mr. Al, of course.
Let me think. I mean, the thing that I mean, I liked it firstly. Like, I think they did as good as a job as they could have. I think maybe the sound design stood out as being exceptionally, like, probably the better part of the directing, maybe, because like you said, or like, who was it? Nate, I think, mentioned that.
Stew.
Or yeah, like the stew and just the noise of the boiling getting louder and louder, like throughout the argument, and then settling down, and then like you have the ambience and the like crackling fire and the use of music. Like I don't know specifically what they did, but I felt like it really worked in the moment.
I feel like there was ambience.
In terms of, yeah.
There was, again, if we can go back to everything in life is Devilman. I wonder what the Devilman thing, I wonder if we follow the food chain, and what's before Devilman? I guess, like, I don't know, the fucking Bible, and then you get into those Greek pricks, and everything's just a Greek prick reference. But,
have you read Devilman?
Yes, I have read 1972's Devilman. I've been trying to reread it for 3 fucking years so I can make goddamn videos about that goddamn fourth wall breaking scene, the greatest scene in manga, my favorite panel in manga. I had a video on the old channel called My Favorite Panel in Manga. It's the fucking one where Devilman suddenly does a massive tone shift in like, it's only like 5 volumes in the middle of like volume 3, and fucking Devilman, it just comes in the middle of a chapter after we get the brother monologue. Oh, it's so good. And he just stands there and he says, this fucking pissy manga you've been reading up until this point, shit's about to get real. And then he gives the villain smirk and you're like, why is Devilman a bad guy now? And it all switches and then some real fucking end of Ava shit starts happening. What a fucking video game Devilman, the manga 1972 is. Ignoring everything I just said, subtlety is a funny thing. I used to jerk off subtlety. This is my latest stage of character development. Deciding that subtlety is dumb and is arbitrary as principally I'm supposed to believe the entire time. That stew thing made me think of this. It got to a boiling point, the confrontation. Now that I know that, I can see Miller saying it now, how stupid it is. Oh, you have the boiling stew when the confrontation's happening? How unsubtle. Right in my face. It was insulting my intelligence, all that stuff. But then I realized that subtlety can only be unsubtle if you notice it. And if subtlety is so subtle that you don't notice it, then is it even subtlety? If a tree falls in the forest and you don't notice it, did it fall? Oh, my Devilman point, before we continue. There was like leaves and stuff, and it looked like Devilman. That was my point. That was what I was actually getting at, not a fucking point.
But wait, the leaves?
We were in the jungle, there was a shot of there was a shot of leaves, I don't remember. They looked like prehistoric fucking Devilman leaves from the first chapter of Devilman. I don't think it's in the manga, I think it was just it was one of the insert shots in the episode. And it looked, and I was like, hey, those look like Devilman leaves. Now, these leaves exist really everywhere. Branching? They look like the leaves of my fucking backyard, but because I've only seen 3 things,
I need to read these manga because editing this video means that I won't have any shots put on top of this because I have no idea what to fucking look for.
Cut it out. Don't edit this part, or do edit it the fuck out of here. I don't want anybody to hear this, because I sound like a
Cello
fucking
Pill saying crazy how I sleep through stream every time. Don't worry, Kyle slept through this stream as well.
Yes, I did. But yeah, there was one shot where it was like Devilman leaves. That was my point. Anyway, subtlety. Where the fuck was I at? Subtlety is dumb, and we only think we like it because it thinks it makes you think you're clever. Matthew Matosis vaguely made this point. That's obviously very hyperbolic, and obviously nothing is dumb and everything is subjective. But my point was, the forest thing. We gotta get to the fucking forest point. That's what everything's been building up to. They're having this conversation in the forest, and they get out of the forest by coming together and moving out, and it goes into the stupid fucking monologue that Mr. Browse had. The forest monologue is actually the one I like. The food one is the one I don't like. But So it all ties into that, and Miller came into the Discord and was furious about how obvious this was, and then none of us had figured it out. And so my point there was like, oh, to Miller, obviously everybody's interpretation is valid, but it just like reiterated to me like, now that I've noticed that after the fact, and it was pointed out to me after the fact, and it like completely went over my head, I think it's like genius. I'm like, how? So this chapter came out 2 years ago, and I've never seen anybody talk about how it's in the middle of the fucking forest, and it works into that metaphor, and they move forward by coming together. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
everything
totally
fucking clicks together. But Miller, noticing it in the moment, makes it seem so obvious to him that he's being beaten over the head of it, and he's like mad. Now, Miller obviously has an agenda to dislike Attack on Titan because sometimes I shit talk the things he likes, and we have this sort of adversarial relationship where we're just pricky and pissy and cunty to each other constantly, and we will never reprieve from this. That's why I send him tweets shitting on One Piece all the time, just for catharsis sometimes, because to make him defend his position, even though I agree with it.
But,
and he does that shit for me.
Though, like when Miller pointed it out, I felt like a fucking dumbass for having not seen it.
Yeah, that's another point though, because it seems so obvious in retrospect that it's like so unsubtle, but to us, it's the most subtle thing in the world. We didn't even fucking see it. So subtlety is completely arbitrary, and it's funny. It's just like everything else in art. I feel like, again, this is a very personal thing even to me, for like my reverence I would have had for subtlety 2 years ago, and how even like 4 or 5 years ago, I remember I used to shit on anime dialogue a lot. That was like one of my big talking points. You can even see it in my second most popular video. By the way, Griffith video, nearly at 400,000 views. But my second most popular one, that's about like 220,000 views, the Black Lagoon one, the best anime relationship. The first 5 minutes of that video are fucking terrible. It's like every bad opinion I had like 4 years ago crammed into the beginning of that video for no reason. Shitting on anime dialogue is one of the things. Black Lagoon is so much better than everything. It has good anime dialogue. Shut up, idiot. But yeah, I even like flash Naruto on screen to shit on Naruto for no reason in that Black Lagoon video.
Oh boy.
God damn it, what an idiot. But back then, like, the Naruto dialogue is bad because it's cringy and because it's too obvious and there's no subtlety and it's exposition, and like all of these things I don't agree with anymore. And subtlety, I feel like, was the last one that was clinging on as something like I objectively liked or something like that. I did the little quotation marks with my fingers when I said objectively there. And it's dead. Subtlety is dead, and Miller buried it. Did that make any sense? The forest thing. Wacky, right?
A little bit.
It's kind of cool.
Miller seems very pleased with himself right now in chat. So the takeaway is that I'm more perceptive than the people who love this.
Yes, that is the number one takeaway. Mr. How much longer do you have? I probably should have monologued like afterwards or something.
20 minutes.
Okay.
20, maybe push to 25.
I think that's all the directorial stuff I had. I wanted to shit on subtlety.
I mean, it's been brought up a lot. I guess maybe a quick mention. Jean likes to cover his ears. Happens a couple of times. It's cute.
I like it. Yes. How did they? I think they framed the "we haven't talked about this," or I think the line was slightly different than how it is here. Did they just show the round table? They did. In here, the round table is sort of an oval. There was a very nice, visually pleasing shot of them in a big circle that I thought was cute. Again, how unsubtle they're doing the Knights of the Round Table fucking thing, where they all come together. Yikes. Not even subtle at all.
Yep.
Oh, I think that was part of the point about subtlety that I was going to make, is that, like, you can sort of frame anything as subtle or unsubtle just by, like, I feel like this goes into a larger point I want to make a video about how you can, like, sort of frame things as good or bad just by, like, the words you choose around it, and how art criticism is all dumb and bad and we should all stop doing it. I'm firing
I feel with subtlety, like, once you've noticed the subtlety, it's not subtle anymore. Like, to you at least. It's like
no, I don't think that. I think because again, this is sort of the verbiage I'm using. I'm sort of overcorrecting for my constant, like, subtlety worship, I guess, of my past, to make the point that, it's sort of just in the middle thing. Now that I've noticed it, I do really like it. Like, I like all the subtle things. Mad Men is the most subtle thing in the fucking world. It's my favorite thing of all time. I think, generally, I'm mixing up two words. I think I'm mixing up subtlety and ambiguity, because obviously I very much like ambiguity as well. And obviously, if something is subtle, it lends itself way more to ambiguity and sort of you filling in the blanks yourself, which is generally what I think all art is. Even things that aren't subtle, is you still, like interpreting it and filling it in the blanks and personalizing it. I feel like a lot of like YouTube discourse is not about that. It's like trying to frame it in like this general sense of like objectivity, I guess. Stop using these words, but
objectivity is great. It's great.
yeah, it's a fun time.
Listen, if you adopt it, then you might be able to make like a 9-hour video about one episode of Attack on Titan. It's great.
Every frame will go past. But I lost the last thing I wanted to say about that. Me losing a fucking point? Who would imagine?
I was saying, I think the praying mantis showing up around Mikasa as the animal which decapitates their partner is subtle, even after you notice it.
I don't think that things are unsubtle after you know. Like, again, you can only call something subtle if you have noticed it. What was my final line gonna be? Mr. I had to bring up Mauler. God damn it. Derailed me.
Devilman?
No, it wasn't
Ava?
Devilman. It should have been Devil. Ava. We're getting closer. I give up. Are we anything else to say about our campfire scene? We did get the Levi wake up shot. It was cute.
Yeah.
Are we done with the campfire scene?
I think so.
Like
I mean,
again, Magath stuff, very good. Like
Yes.
just those 3 panels where all he says is Gabby. 4 panels, I should say, and that conveys basically his entire shift in character. It's so good. And the anime did a good job with it.
I feel like every character moment in this is really good. I feel like we should reiterate, because we're kind of skipping over it, that campfire scene good. I think everybody should say this 3 times. Campfire scene good, campfire scene good, campfire scene good.
top 10 scenes in the manga.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
it's all very good. Just too much to cover.
Yeah. I think I don't remember if I finished this point earlier, but the Gene waking him up and completely being on board, like, yeah, of course I'm gonna help, is sort of part of his mood swing thing, and it's very cute. The conversation on the thing about how this is like, again, it's sort of taking this sort of, somebody needs to hit me and say, if you ever say trope again, I'm unsubscribing for my 15 months. That's you, Mr. R. You got to say that to me. If I say trope again. Oh no, I said it.
Trope is fine. Trope is a...
Yeah, but Miller has pointed this out. It's like the last 2 months, it's all I want to say. It's getting a bit bad. But this
I've replaced using the word trope with meme sometimes. That's the way to mix things up.
You can always soften something by calling it a meme. Because meme can mean anything in modern day vernacular, especially on the internet. Sometimes you just say a joke is a meme. Oh no, I bloviated and forgot the tropey trope I was going to trope about. The conversation here is sort of like between like jilted lovers. It's like they're flirting, but it's like after this massively emotional. This is Gene and Reiner in the card afterwards, where he's like, "I'm not apologizing to you." I can see Asuka having this interaction with Shinji while they're in the swimming pool. The real scene in Ava, thermal expansion and how that relates to boners. Real episode, Magma Diver. I love it. Anything to say about?
There's one thing actually I want to bring up about this scene in the anime. I don't know if I missed it or not, but the bit where Jean goes, "I can't forgive you," and he goes, "I know," and then Annie asks, "And me?" I don't know if I missed it in the anime, but I feel like that "I can't forgive you, I know" part. I just didn't. My brain didn't remember that bit.
Did they do that?
So in my head, I can't remember, because in my head it went straight from Jean going, "You're not getting an apology," to Annie going, "And me," and I'm like, wait, no, that can't be right. Why the fuck would Jean need to apologize to Annie? And I just can't remember those 2 panels being in the anime now.
I remember she did say "and me," but I don't remember
definitely
saying
did.
anything in response to that.
Yeah, but I don't remember if that was
The part
predicated by
beforehand,
Jean going, "I can't forgive you," or if it was predicated by him going, "You're not getting an apology."
I think it was just "you're not getting an apology."
Yeah, so that makes no fucking sense. Why would John need to apologize to Annie?
Miller says he thinks you're right.
Yeah, I think they missed 2 panels, 2 kind of important panels, because it makes Annie's line so fucking weird.
The Annie line, is like an awkward Attack on Titan joke. I feel like Isayama does it a lot, where Annie is just like trying to assert herself, and the joke is that Annie, shut up, you're like not a character, which is kind of funny.
But Annie's also an S tier top 3 character.
She absolutely is, but I think that ECM is kind of leaning into that of like some people don't think she's a character. Attack on Titan has a lot of awkward things a lot of the time. It's part of its charm, but
Yeah,
I
but
think
that's
the
good
anime
because
made it a
humans
little
are
bit more.
awkward, especially Isayama. Isayama is an incredibly awkward human being.
Fuck, I forgot another thing. Oh, I was talking about the jilted lovers thing. It's kind of endearing for this this weird flirty conversation to be happening, coming off of such a dramatic this is not the context you would usually use this tropey conversation in. But here it is, and I think it works very well. Then Peak runs up. We got a cool dynamic curving up shot. I feel like the shots of the Jaegers at the end were pretty cool. That we didn't get the singular vertical flock shot that I like very much here that this chapter ends on. But I feel like they did a cool way of doing it nonetheless.
I do a couple of things. I saw TikTok was thirsting over Peak again because we got a full shot of Peak after she'd emerged from her Titan. All sort of looking all steamy, quite literally.
Huh. I was gonna say, was it sexualized? But I don't remember it being.
No, it wasn't sexualized. It's just.
Oh, because it's the first time in a while, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'd had to deal with her in her fucking ugly ass Titan around the campfire the entire time, along with and Yelena touching Pierre when they're in the campfire as well.
Yes.
On TikTok, we're no one can tell me that this is not a lesbian relationship.
I feel like I was on that.
Yeah, the Jaeger shots were cool.
The
flock thing as well.
But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. The flock thing as well. Something that I thought was quite interesting is Flock looks a lot less serious in the anime, but I think that kind of works. There's something about with the way the anime drew him in that scene that made him look quite young, and I think it's almost like that reminder that a lot of these characters are still basically teenagers. Flock's 19.
Yeah.
And he's the leader of a fascist organization. Of course, he's not going to look. And again, maybe tying into the whole fascism isn't. Fascism is lame sort of thing.
Yeah,
he looks like some fucking lame kid who should have his head down a toilet in high school rather than some powerful, intimidating force.
It's interesting because I don't remember him looking particularly boyish. I don't remember him looking he looks very vertical. This thigh right here is very, very thick. He looks very wide here.
That is a very thick thigh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kiyomi looks absurdly small. But fuck, what was I gonna say? Why am I forgetting these things? Something about Flock in this page and something. God fucking damn it. Oh, it looks like he's posing here, which is kind of cute. I feel like him fake being serious rather than looking boyish sort of achieves the same effect you were just talking about. I think it works both ways, even though I don't remember the anime way.
Yeah, it was just the way he was drawn in the anime. It made him look like he looked like a sort of a teenager trying to play it.
Yeah, because something you said. Now I remember what I was gonna say about there is a wider point. I think because when I was going to do, I think this was right before the last chapter came out, which is so stupid to not just wait. But I feel like I was motivated, and motivation is sparing. But I remember when I tried to do all those tentative hypotheses on each character. And I was going to try, my big plan was to make character videos about fucking every character in Attack on Titan. I remember a big thing that I started to notice in doing that was sort of this reoccurring theme of these characters didn't really have childhoods, and that sort of being why they're sort of so immature coming into their early adulthood, I guess, of being 19, like you just said. And Flock is sort of a quintessential example of this. Same with Eren and the freedom panel of him being a kid again and all that stuff. But that was something I wanted to bring up because Flock is this little menace, fucking 15-year-old seeming, controlling this fascist Jaeger's force. So, but yeah. I think that's it. We do final thoughts now.
I don't know if either of you two watched the preview for the next episode, but it's going to be funny because it shows Daz and Samuel, but Daz doesn't look anything like he does in the manga. Which
I did see the one.
Is interesting considering in the manga Daz looks about 40 years old, so despite being a teenager.
Oh, there's that one shot at the end of the preview where it's I love this shot. I'm just remembering now, but it's like of Connie and Armin, and they like slowly turn their eyes at each other. I don't know. There's something about the framing of that was like, oh, that's like
so funny.
weirdly creepy, and like I don't know. It was like chaotic energy coming from these two. There was something about that shot that had me feeling some type of way. And usually you say that when you're like horny about them, but I wasn't horny about.
Oh right, well yeah, it was rather funny, but yeah, the Daz.
That shot was like right before that one, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought Daz looked a bit weird. I was like, I really wonder how many anime viewers are gonna remember.
Zero,
because
we haven't seen
Samuel. Because we haven't seen Daz and Samuel since the beginning of the Frost
I thought they were both
arc.
dead. When that chapter came out, I recognized them because I've seen the beginning of the anime so many times that I remember Daz being the one that freaks out all the time, and Samuel, I just remember his name because I've seen the end of episode... No, I guess it's the beginning of episode 5 so much. I thought they were both dead. I thought, like, Samuel died from an infection of getting speared through the fucking calf by Sasha, and I thought... I was certain that Daz died in the Trost thing. But all the second part Trost thing with every character that isn't Armin, Eren, or Mikasa is filler in the anime, as Minty was telling me recently. We need to do this fucking reread to figure out what is in the manga and what isn't. And I was almost certain Daz died there, but I think John like zooms down and saves him.
No, Daz isn't. I don't think Daz is ever even in any danger. Like we see him vomiting at the end of part 1.
He has a scene where Pixis is doing the speech, and he's like, "I would rather die than go back out there." And then Pixis makes the announcement like, "You don't have to do it if you don't want to. You can just leave." But yeah, I got the first laptop battery thing. So it definitely wasn't there. I must have assumed it was before that in the specific Trost thing. But then that makes it impossible because he has the scene after the fact in the big parade thing. So I was just being dumb. The fact is they weren't dead. So when they popped up, I thought like, weren't both these characters dead? But I did recognize them because I'm a real Attack on Titan fan. That being the case, nobody will recognize these guys.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't wait. I also can't wait. I'm just looking ahead. The episode we get to see Armin get fucking gunned down by Samuel, and it will end with Connie fucking blowing Samuel's brains out. That's
I feel like Minty told me that it is just going to be this episode, this one chapter next episode, but it seems impossible. There's so much action here that should take place in like 3 seconds. That's like 3 pages. I feel like a great episode would be the next 2 combined, where it's just this whole action.
But I mean,
scene.
You say that. I've noticed maybe the anime will draw out the action a bit because it has done that previously. The battle for Shiganshina drew it out, and not sorry to bring up your favorite anime, Kyle, but having read having finished reading Demon Slayer and watching the anime, I realized that Demon Slayer manages to turn 3 panels of fighting into 3 minutes of fighting in the anime, and it works. Not like a Dragon Ball Z
all
way.
of fucking goddamn DBZ and Naruto, right? I know how you can drag some shit out.
It's not dragged out though; it fits. It's just because the manga does the thing that Sailor Moon manga does, where it has like one big panel where there's so much going on that it takes ages to interpret it. The manga has. In a single panel, whilst the anime's like, we're going to make it an actual fight.
God, they're going to do
You should read You should watch Demon Slayer. Even if you don't read it, watch it. For fuck's sake, I want to talk to you about it.
Demon Slayer. When you said the anime, I didn't like.
I pay you money.
I thought you do. I thought you were going to bring up Vinland Saga, and I was going to say, yeah, they sure did drag that fucking shit out, but never mind.
Oh, I looked at what chapter 1 of the Vinland Saga manga is, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting when I actually finish the anime.
Oh, it's so good. The dragon, and then you're like, is there actual dragons in Vinland Saga? And then there's not a dragon. It's like, haha, big meme. Askeladd fucked you too. Oh, what a chapter. Let's make it fucking episode 8. How great. Never mind, we're not shitting on Vinland Saga here. They're going to do my page, the Bertolt page, where it's awkwardly out of line and it's weird and the paneling is so cool. We've done a bunch of crazy shots. They're probably not going to do it, is the point I want to build to here, because they don't do these shots of him remembering Bertolt.
They got to fill an episode.
Maybe. It's just so good with the paneling. I don't know how you would do the shot to even attempt to recreate this in the anime. I just started thinking about Chainsaw Man and how that's going to be fucking a nightmare to do. God, would I not want to be doing Chainsaw Man as an emotion medium with the weird, like, fourth wall breaking paneling stuff. Never mind. That's completely off topic, which is nothing new for us, but for me specifically. My Bertolt page. Maybe they'll do something super cool and interesting. I like an episode. How about you fellas? You like an episode?
Yep.
I think, yes. I think, I don't remember. Was Bacon negative? Miller was more negative, I think. Minty's always negative. I feel like we get in here and I expect some more negative takes, but then I realize it wasn't you guys. It was somebody else.
Listen, I'm very rarely negative about Attack on Titan episodes. You know.
This is true.
But I'm also considered one of the most negative in my group chat that I'm in, because
Yes.
I'm considered the manga reader, even though I really like the anime as well. I just like the manga more most of the time.
Go read someplace else, dork. Go read someplace else.
Yeah, basically.
All right, I guess we're doing closing thoughts. I guess that was Mr. R's closing thoughts. Ari, you got anything else to say? When's the next video
It was
coming
good. Next video, oh man, it's a struggle. It's going to be an Attack on Titan video on the final chapter, but who knows when it will come out. It's taken a lot of effort.
Is it going to be your final statement before the reread begins? Your tentative hypothesis?
Probably. It's not. It's like a small thing that happens in the final chapter, so it's not like a big thematic thing or anything. But man, is it difficult.
It's hard to navigate. It's almost like you should cancel all ending videos. Though I still haven't told the main channel about that. Or even the side channel. Anyway, I like episode 2. Not 2. TOO, not episode 2. Though episode 2 is good. A video about episode 2 should be out in the next 48 hours at the most. Hopefully it'll be just under 2 weeks between uploads this time. It's masterful for me. But we're talking about main channel stuff here on Secondary ENT. Shake my head. With that being said, everybody, you can find everybody's links in the description. You can go subscribe to them. They're making separate Attack on Titan content and other stuff. How many views does that big video have, Ari? Are you at 1,000 yet? I haven't checked it.
Yeah, it's too many. Because season 2 for that anime got announced yesterday. Now it has like 1.2 thousand views or something. It's crazy. I can't believe it. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, he's taken over, Mr. EliteAri. What's that series called? There will be some listeners that'll like it. Or whatever.
Oh boy, I don't know. It's Mushoku Tensei, but it's particularly about the web novel rather than the anime.
Yeah. So go read someplace else, dork. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, pretty much.
Well, if you like that shit, head over there. I watched the video. I really didn't know what was happening. I did get jealous of the editing, but there we go. Everybody's links are in the description. Mr. R is still playing Elden Ring, I presume?
Yep. Slowly but surely.
But yes, so if you're into that stuff, that wacky video game nonsense, head over there. But with that being said, support links in the description below. Thanks.